have fun. That's why you started playing this game, right?
Smart, fast, and physical.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub, and on this week's show, NBC and Fox to air USFL's inaugural game. We'll get into that, plus A-Rod being a team owner. You just heard right now, we have all 8 coaches in the USFL announced. We'll get into that, plus your social media stuff, and so much more. So welcome to the show. If you want to be part of the show, email podcasts at xflnewshub.com with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video or something on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. Or you could go old school. Call 888-430-7692 extension 3. And remember to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate that. We're on Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Amazon, Google, Spotify. You can leave a review too. We'd really appreciate that as well. And remember, you can watch this show live every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Facebooks, Twitter, and Twitch. I still keep meaning to put hook my Madden stuff up to that. Hey, timeline, XFL timeline. Remember, June 18th, XFL Player Combines, January 9th, 2023. February 18th, 2023 is when the season kicks off. We are 382 days until XFL kickoff. However, we are also 74 days till the USFL kickoff. And frankly, 20-something days, 24 days-ish for the USFL draft. So what is up, my friends? Thanks for being part of the show and checking in. Remember, what's the deal with this channel? If you like football, then like and subscribe to this channel. It's simple as that. Let's try to get to this show. 60 likes would be fantastic today. Let's try to get that on the show. So make sure you smash that like button and also subscribe. It spreads the word. There is something outside of the world of the NFL, and which were fantastic games this weekend. Super excited about the Pro Bowl, but I'm also actually more excited about this is week 3 that The Rock had talked about. So we'll get your reaction. Our question of the week is, do you think the XFL will have a big announcement this week? We've got a reaction to that, a bunch of good social media stuff. What's up to everybody in the chat? But this past week was all about the USFL. We had this big, huge announcement that we'll get into. We have clips from the press conference. They dropped a bomb, which I was like totally stunned, about Fox and NBC simulcasting the first USFL game. And let me tell you, traffic for our site, just for it being on a football site, we were getting tons of traffic this weekend, because everybody was geeking up for football, and now these commercials, these 10-second spots are now getting bigger. We'll talk about the USFL's big 30-second spot, which everybody really liked. I thought it was great. That played this weekend. So there is a lot of excitement now starting to build with the USFL. We got Jeff Fisher. We'll talk about that and so much more. So I usually say, without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. The XFL was quiet. This past week, it was all about the USFL.
We also have another great announcement today. The Birmingham Stallions on April 16th in the first game are going to take on, of course, none other than the New Jersey Generals, one of the great famous teams from the USFL. So not only will that game of the Stallions versus the Generals be in prime time, but for the first time in more than 60 years since Super Bowl I, both Fox and NBC are going to broadcast the exact same game on 2 broadcast networks. So making history for the first time in 60 years since Super Bowl I. It's going to be an unprecedented event.
I want to be the first to say welcome. Welcome home to the USFL. So, you know, Birmingham has a deep history as a sports town and a connection to USFL. Wardeen Alexander likes to remind me that this is a sports town and you have super sports fans here. I'm not sure y'all heard that horse. Just a minute ago, maybe they should keep the door open. We're gathering a venue that brings together the connection of what regional cooperation really looks like in vision. And so we're excited to be the city to host this inauguration. Our commitment as well to Legion Field cannot go not said. That being the choice home for the entire inaugural season, both stadiums, this is really, really a big deal for our community, everybody. And so I look forward to cheering on the Stallions, not only here at this stadium, but Legion Field. And as Eric has said, Birmingham has a lot to offer. Both of these stadiums will have a lot to offer, and we look forward to playing and being committed to be a good host.
Thank you. Thank you. The introduction may be longer than the speech, so I'm going to try and keep this a little bit quick, but what an awesome day. What an awesome day, and so many people to thank, and just so many people pulling the rope in the same direction to make this work, and with USFL, with Fox and NBC partnering together, with the people in the city of Birmingham. My father always told me if you ever see a turtle on top of a fence post, he didn't get there alone. You know what? And there's an awful lot of people that need to be thanked for making this entire process happen. There's three things that are going on today. One, an amazing announcement, a shot that's going to be heard around the world, so to speak, with the development and the reemergence of the USFL coming back and having a standalone spring football league that's going to stand on its own 2 feet. I think is an awesome, awesome thing that's going on right now. And I think right now with Brian Woods and with Moose Johnson and their leadership and their guidance, just the organization, the attention to detail that's happened, the more you learn about this, the more exciting it gets, because there's so many great things that are going on. The second thing that's going on right now is for the city of Birmingham. What an awesome, awesome day today to see the excitement, to see the energy, the enthusiasm with everybody here, that you're going to have the entire USFL that's going to be seen around the world on Fox and NBC, but they're also going to see the city of Birmingham and all the people that have made this work and the exposure that it's going to bring the city. But then there's also a third part of it, and that's that the Birmingham Stallions are back. You know what? The Birmingham Stallions are back. The USFL is going to play. The city of Birmingham is going to benefit greatly with all 8 teams coming here. But there is going to be a home team. And so I want to make the announcement that Reggie has decided to come play for us, and he is. So I want to go ahead and make that announcement now that Reggie, you know what? We're going to have fun together. I'll call it, you run it, we're going to be fine. I want to be wide open. The game of football has changed. It's all about speed and space. This isn't about 2 tight ends and running off tackle and 3. This is, even when you watch the NFL game, the way the high school game, the college game, and even the NFL game has gone to shotgun, wide open, 4 wide receivers, excitement, electricity, and I think some of the rules that they've put together in the game to really make the kickoff a bigger part of the game. There's a lot of rule changes that this league is going to implement that's going to create an exciting brand of football, and as coaches, that's our obligation to understand the rules and how we put this together. It's going to be a fast-paced game. It's not going to be a 4.5-hour day. You know, it's not. I just think they've thought of everything, and I think it's really going to be fun. And I want to be wide open. I want to be physical, but I want to be fun. We have to watch the film too. So I mean, if it's fun for us to watch as coaches, it's going to be fun for the fans to watch as well.
So there you have the big announcement. I think it was Eric Schenk. It was the mayor of Birmingham. It was Skip Holtz, the new coach of the Birmingham Stallions, all there talking about the excitement and around the USFL. So the big announcement that came out this past week, we knew Birmingham was going to be the place to be. Fox and NBC are going to simulcast. Some of you probably don't even know what the word simulcast even means. So this is the first time that this has happened since Super Bowl I. So on Saturday, April 16th, in prime time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern at Protective Stadium in Birmingham, Alabama. I wanted to go, but we're going to wait until May. The game pits the New Jersey Generals against the Birmingham Stallions, and it will be televised live on NBC and Fox, making it the first scheduled sports competition to air on the same time on two competitive broadcast networks since Super Bowl I. It shows you the power of football in this country right now. NBC Sports will provide pregame, halftime, and postgame coverage of the Generals Stallions game, which will air on both networks, utilizing its on-air production and technical personnel. Fox Sports will produce the game coverage, which both networks will carry using its broadcasters, production, technical staff, and the same commercials will run on each network throughout the broadcast. Wow. The networks will announce specific production details in the future. This is Easter weekend. I plan on having some friends over that night to check the game out. As we get closer to it, clearly things will get bigger. These media partners is a surprise. We thought it was just going to be on Fox. So while the league will release its comprehensive television schedule shortly, NBC Sports will present 22 USFL games in 2022. On NBC, there'll be 9, USA Network 9, Peacock 4. On Fox Sports, they'll carry 22 games split between Fox 14 and FS1 8. The combined regular season coverage on NBC and Fox will give the USFL 22 broadcast windows, more than any regularly scheduled sport in the first half of the year. Hello, baseball. You just keep sitting out, my friends. You just keep sitting out and continue to get more irrelevant. So, of course, the USFL will launch with 8 teams split into 2 divisions, playing in one location. In addition to the Stallions, you got the Houston Gamblers, New Orleans Breakers, Tampa Bay Bandits in the South Division. The North features Michigan Panthers, Pittsburgh Maulers, Generals, and, of course, the Philadelphia Stars. Each team will play a 10-game schedule, followed by semifinals between the top 2 teams in each division, and a championship game between division winners. You know how it all goes. That is the exciting news from the USFL's big announcement. What we expected to happen during this announcement is that, of course, they're playing the games in Birmingham, something that's been reported about a long time. Lots and lots of moving parts to make this deal happen. As you can, if you were watching the press conference, you could hear each speaker talk about how many people were involved to make this happen. Because it wasn't just like, hey, we want to play our games in Birmingham, which the USFL wanted to do from the beginning. It was more like, okay, cool, but we are going to bring a lot of money. So if you could kick in some money, then maybe we can have a deal. And it was a lot of back and forth, and multiple people needed to approve this thing. So some fans complain, why does it take so long? We know about this in October. Why did it take so long till now? Can you imagine trying to get this done with all this different political and all this junk that goes on in this country right now when it comes to what's in it for me, politics? That all this, the city of Birmingham basically came together and made this happen. And I think that was testament, finally, politicians working together. But this is not a political show because that stuff is frankly boring. So they'll get all the games there. There's going to be games at Legion Field as well. We've gone over this a bunch of times. But Birmingham essentially will be the football capital of the world. The other thing that was announced, that tickets for the USFL's inaugural game, of course, featuring the Generals and Stallions at Protective Stadium on Fox and NBC, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Well, the tickets are on sale at Ticketmaster. This was a surprise to me, too, and very cool, I think. Tickets are all general admission, which I found interesting, and are $10 for adults, and kids under the age of 15 are free, with a limit of $3 per ticketed adult. That makes sense. The league will announce details about the availability of the remainder of the season shortly. So we've got schedule and remainder of the season. How are they going to do tickets? Remember, gate is not that important to the USFL. It is the TV deal, and it is slowly building this league up. If you notice, even just this Monday, a lot more social media stuff is starting to come, and it makes sense. Why spend all this money and time and resources in October promoting your league when no one cares until after the Super Bowl is over? That's what everybody's focused on. So I don't have a problem with the timeline. The merch, we can talk about all that kind of stuff. Yeah, some issues there. But really, this has been quiet, and now it's going to start to build up. The USFL will hold its player selection meeting February 22nd through Wednesday, February 23rd, and training camps will open Monday, March 21st. Each USFL team will carry a 38-man active roster with a 7-man practice squad. Players will receive base compensation in addition to be eligible to getting victory bonuses, much like they did in the XFL. Exciting times for the USFL. We've got the home city announcement, coaches, and a very fascinating way to kick off and get as many eyeballs as they can on the USFL to get fans engaged and then hopefully hold that audience for the rest of the season. Well, we told you so, but we didn't tell you so. We walked down that path last week. Jeff Fisher, Larry Fedora, final 2 USFL coaches named. Fisher, of course, is the head coach now of the Michigan Panthers. Why he wouldn't want to take one of the... I thought for sure Fisher would be with the Birmingham Stallions. However, I think Skip Holtz actually is a great choice. Very energetic, fun guy. I think he's a great pick for actually the Birmingham Stallions. Larry Fedora, head coach of the Nylands Breakers, and now we finally have our coaches. Now, one of the things we talked about before was Jeff Fisher, remember, was going to be on when they were doing the 4 coaches announcements a week or 2 ago. Fisher was supposed to be on after that announcement to talk about other stuff. Then his name got pulled, and then it went from 4 coaches to 2. Clearly, things weren't finalized yet. Maybe squeaking out a little bit more money. Of course, we also heard Todd Haley mention Jeff Fisher's name also in meeting with the coaches and that kind of thing. So that's why it took a little bit. They got it done, and Jeff Fisher and Larry Fedora as your final 2 coaches. Fisher is a big get, in my opinion. The XFL rumored him coming around. He's been involved with the other leagues and doing things but I will tell you from a media standpoint, the Jeff Fisher hire, which you wish he would have been the first, but I think it's fine that he's the last kind of announcement, got a lot of media buzz. There's no question about that. So who are these guys? Well, first of all, Larry Fedora. He is very excited. Now, he comes to the USFL with 32 years of experience as a college coach and 11 years as a head coach, winning 79 games, including 45 at North Carolina from 2012 to 2018. After serving as an analyst at Texas in 2019, Fedora spent the last 2 seasons as offensive QB coach at Baylor University, big-time school. His coaching career began, blah, 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 all the way. So he basically moved up the ladder. And now he is born in College Station, Texas. Fedora and his wife, Christy, have a son and 3 daughters. So now he is going to be in charge of New Orleans Breakers. Of course, Jeff Fisher, we all know about him. Spent 30 years as a position coach, coordinator, head coach in the NFL. Began his coaching career in 1986 with the Eagles as an assistant under head coach Buddy Ryan. Talk about how long he's been involved in the league. Of course, his main thing has been with the going to the Super Bowl with the Oilers/Titans with 6 playoff appearances, 3 division titles, 2 AFC championship games, and a trip to the Super Bowl. In 2012, he was named head coach of the St. Louis Rams, serving through week 14 of the 2016 season, the team's first after moving to Los Angeles. Lots of big background, lots of wins, lots of experience for Jeff Fisher. And of course, a lot of, the team's going to go 7-9. The team's going to go 5-5. Like we heard all that stuff. I really hope Fisher does well, and I think he will do well. He's been still coaching it up. He's been doing a couple bowl things with college students out there. He still loves to coach. So he is in. He's the biggest fish. I think they totally landed, and I think he's a good one. And you have to say, is the Michigan Panthers the team to beat in the USFL based on coaching? However, we still have to wait for players, and that's coming at the end of February. So we heard not only the USFL, but XFL as well, is that there's rumblings that there's potential ownership opportunities for the franchises within the USFL and the XFL. We've heard this, but now we had a little bit more than just a rumor. See, Gene Hallman, president and CEO of Bruno Event Team, was a guest on the three-man front to talk about the Birmingham, of course, becoming the hub city for the USFL. He also revealed some interesting draft news, team ownership, and a potential owner for the New Jersey Generals. Hallman talked about Brian Woods, how he heard about the league coming back, went on to say the USFL never wanted to host their hub season in an NFL market, and that Shanks and others had been eyeing Birmingham for a while. So they were definitely going to do that. He also noted that there could be 8 teams this season in the hub city, 4 teams next season, and then by year 3, we've heard that before, all the teams will go into their host cities. We'll see how that. He also talked about the USFL's business model being similar to MLS. So I thought this was interesting. He said, quote, "It's a business model that's similar to MLS, where Fox will maintain ownership of the league as a whole, and they'll have independent owner-operators in each market, much like a Chick-fil-A franchise. You don't own it, but you're part of the action in that market. There'll be spaces of that community, the owner-operator." So he kind of say that, I'm assuming that the NFL's model is not like that. But this kind of idea that it's a Chick-fil-A franchise, and so that makes it very interesting indeed. I would assume we wouldn't get any owners' announcements this season. I wouldn't do it. I would wait till the season is over and then kind of talk about ownership. But hey, you never know. I'm not in charge. He also talked about former Major League All-Star shortstop Alex Rodriguez was actually in talks to own a USL franchise. Quote, he said, "It was kind of funny. In the very first meeting, we were at the Major League Baseball All-Star game, and they were in the production trailer, and they had it stage. Eric Shanks took his phone and tilted it to the right and said, 'This guy sitting beside me is a guy we're already talking to about being an owner-operator in New Jersey.' And it was A-Rod. He said they want high-profile people like that involved with their franchises. Absolutely. Get some of these big sports names and influencers to be owners of these USFL teams. I mean, you look at what the Fan Control Football is doing. They are having, trying to land, names like Miro, Rusev from the WWE, lots of former NFL players involved with the league in Fan Control Football. So I think the USFL wants to take this to the next level and get, kind of even higher guys up. Maybe how funny it would be if Derek Jeter and A-Rod owned teams, or, Magic Johnson owned a team, or, Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, that kind of thing. So we will see where this leads to. He also said, Hallman also talked about the relationship between Fox, the USFL, and the NFL, and basically said Goodell and Eric Shanks at Fox Sports are very close friends, associates. Basically, the NFL is going to stay out of the USFL's way and let them kind of do their thing as well. He was asked about the USFL draft taking place in February. He said that the USFL has over 3,000 players in their portal, and some are high-profile names. Now, when you're on Twitter and somebody says they've declared for that they're going to be part of the USFL draft, remember, They're in a pool of 3,000 names. And there's only 300 or whatever the number is spots. You do the math, 38 active rosters, 7 practice squad players. So 38 plus 7 times 8. That's how many spots there is. So there's not a ton of spots. But these people say, I'm getting drafted or whatever. I don't know about that. They're part of the 3,000. Let's just put it that way. He said, quote, they sent out an email and communication to every agent in the country, and there are thousands. And they said, please, if you have a player who meets these minimum qualifications in terms of playing ability, go to our portal and register to be eligible for the draft. They have over 3,000 people in the portal. I'm told there's quite a number that you would instantly recognize. Then on the 22nd and 23rd of February, the 8 coaches will do a draft over the 2 days. They'll draft 45 players for each team, 38 active, 7 practice. So there's not a situation where there's going to be 200 players trying out for 45 spots. There are names in there. They're going to draft the 45 guys that they deem the best for their team. There's tons and tons of research going on among these 8 coaches, overall players. And I'm told that when it's all said and done, you're going to have 5 or 6 solid, very high-profile type names with each team, which gives it the cachet it needs to market. Now, it's interesting in the XFL world, they basically build everything around the quarterback as kind of that marketable franchise type person. In the USFL, they want to have 5 to 6 guys who are very marketable to help that franchise get hold. You know, if you have New Jersey has some big names and then A-Rod is the owner, that's going to generate a lot of buzz on the internet. Man, the way things run these days when it comes to social media and these leagues is so different than it was when the XFL 2.0 started out. You have basically they're not even really worried about the media play per se. It's the social media aspect and buzz that they generate that just keeps living rather than just having an article in the Washington Post. So times are changing very quickly in the TikTok generation world of sports. Football is at an all-time high, and getting some big names and get people chatting on social media about your league is priceless. We'll just have to find out when this draft comes who these big names will be. So USFL Philadelphia Stars head coach Bart Andrews talks about his coaching staff. So he was on the National Football Show with Dan Sillo. They talked about the new USFL, his coaching staff, and all sorts of other fun stuff. One of the things he talked about, Andrews, because he's got a lot of experience, NFL Europe, CFL, XFL, and Spring League. He goes on to mention who is part of his Philadelphia Stars coaching staff. He said, quote, my staff is pretty much, I've got all of them ready to go. They're going through the HR process right now as we speak, and good people, guys, some recognizable names. So who does he got? He's got Jeff Jadozinski as the offensive line coach, Marcel Bielfure, not really sure. He doesn't mention exactly what he's doing. Martin Bayless is the DBs and special teams coach, and Brad Miller is the defensive coordinator. He also talks about the type of player he and the league will be looking for, and continuing on that theme about getting younger players. He talked about the draft, February 22nd and 23rd, and how each team will have its own personnel director, which that was something that we haven't heard quite yet, is who is going to be the personnel director of each individual team, who is going to get that gig, and that needs to come out. And I would assume that announcement would come out in the next couple. Who gets to pick that person? Is the USFL putting that person in place, or is the head coach get to pick their personnel director? I would assume that the head coach will be able to do that. He also talked about the teams playing in Birmingham and how they will practice. He said, quote, we are even going to have 2 teams share one practice site. So there will be 4 practice sites, 2 teams at each one. The 2 head coaches will work out the schedule between the 2 of them so they that alternate days and alternate weeks. They can change the time, which is good. So basically, he's talking something about the Hawthorne effect, mixing it up for players. So basically, each two teams will share a practice area, and then they'll alternate. Maybe one practices in the morning, one practices in the afternoon. Hey, if you're a super football nerd in the month of March, April, May, June timeframe, you want to nerd out on some football, you head down to Birmingham, and it's actually pretty cool to allow you to get in all this different kind of football. So we'll see what kind of fan access they get. Again, it's not a humongous city. It's actually not easy to fly to. It's kind of expensive. You have to kind of fly into Atlanta. That's what I was looking at, and then drive to Birmingham. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of where I live. But that is going to be the place to be. That's football capital USA right there during this spring. And Andrews talks about the purpose of the USFL. He says we consider ourselves a standalone professional football league. Our thing is to give players the opportunity to play professionally. They will get live game tape on TV. Now, the thing we don't know about the stuff with the players, we don't know about any other coaching staffs. We also don't know how much the players are getting paid. People are talking about the rule book. All these things will be coming because the coaches want to know these answers too. And that will be coming, I'm sure, this month as we get closer to draft at the end of February. Spring football is back, my friends, in the United States of America. All right, we'll be back with your social media stuff and more right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
This week on the show, is this USFL? Let me guess. The graphic is the guy holding the butterfly and going, is this USFL? Is that the graphic that we got going on, Reed?
No, it's the astronaut looking at the planet, and it's the Spring League. And he goes, it's always been the Spring League. And the astronaut's like, been there the whole time. What is it? Always been there. Always
been there. Clever. I thought it was going to be I think you've already done the butterfly, though. Yeah. So this is a brand new one. We appreciate the artwork that Reed throws out. We got a huge show this week. We got Sam Schwartzstein, the creator of XFL Rules.
Every rule has a player safety component, and when you're making rules, that comes first. And our fans even told us that. They said, don't make the game more dangerous for players. That's why you don't have things like the scramble from XFL 2001.
Sam is great. There was a lot of debate online about the overtime rules for the Buffalo-Kansas City game. I said, XFL has the best overtime rules of all time, so we're going to bring Sam on to discuss. We're also breaking down all the crazy USFL, the coaches and the first game. Roy Johnson was on location. We have Roy on the show.
The term that Eric Shanks used in our conversation was this was an incubator. Right? So this is an incubator for a product that could grow in a lot of different ways.
Very cool stuff from Roy. Looking forward to hearing all that he's got going on. And apparently the nicest interview Reed's ever been a part of, James Wilder Jr. re-signed this week at Edmonton, talking to Reed.
Edmonton is slowly working their way back into my heart, so I feel good.
What can I do to help? What can I do to get you back on board?
This has been very helpful. I was like, Edmonton is pulling at my heartstrings for wanting to be the official team of the Marcast. Nothing official yet. Also, Eddie Steele, friend of the show, he's friends with Arash. We'll let that slide. But Eddie Steele is on the show as well.
I'm a big Chris Jones believer. He coached me 4 out of my 9 years in the CFL, had a ton of success personally and team-wise under him. I know what he's about and the expectations and the standards that he has for guys.
A lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to digest. The final 2 head coaches in the USFL, Jeff Fisher, Larry Fedora. If you haven't heard, now you're going to break that down. So we got all that coming up this week on the Marcast.
All right, my friends, we are back. How do you like the new little setup there? Remember, if you like football, more than just the NFL, spring football, we will have you full covered. We've got the USFL kicking off in April. We have, of course, our main XFL, fan control football, and then you can also check out CFL News Hub as well to see Canadian football. So we got you covered here. Don't worry about it because we love football. So smash that like button. Let's get to 60 likes to spread the word about spring football, the USFL, the XFL, so that other fans can hop on board and getting a lot of new fan interaction which is very, very cool. All right, so let's go to the chat real quick. Shane says, great show. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Richard checking in. He can't wait till the XFL makes an announcement. Yeah, I can't wait to get to your guys' take and leave us what you think in the chat. Do you think we're going to get an XFL announcement this week? Do you think we're going to get a USFL announcement this week? Maybe schedule or rule book or maybe like personnel directors. Let us know in the chat. What was I going to do? I was going to do a chat. Oh, okay. Also, I want to get your reaction to the USFL commercial. Did you like the commercial? Give us a +1 in chat, whether it's Facebook or I would like to get votes if people really like that commercial. Facebook or YouTube, just give us a +1 in chat. Let us know if you liked the commercial. I give a +2 if you didn't like it. If you thought it was dumb, I wanted to play it, but I'm sure I'd get dinged by YouTube or something like that. John says, are the announcers from both networks going to combine or broadcast separately? So I think what it's going to be is Fox. It's going to be Fox's team that's going to cover the game, but NBC's team is going to do the pregame, postgame, halftime kind of stuff. So NBC's people will do that, and Fox's people will do the other. They'll merge it together, and you'll be able to see it on both channels. That's going to be crazy because when the Spring League games were on ABC, or was it Fox? I don't remember. Wherever it was. Maybe it was Fox. A year ago, traffic to our site went, and there was no promotion. There was no nothing going on. I cannot imagine what it's going to look like when the USFL kicks off on 2 channels on a Saturday night. We will have the servers ready to go, unlike we did the first weekend of the XFL season. Yeah, I actually was running the XFL News Hub database off of a dev MySQL, and that's why I was crashing all the time if you were there from the beginning. And it took me like a week to figure it out. Now we have gotten a ton of traffic, and we got that fixed now. So I'm super excited to see how that works out, which is one of the other reasons why I wanted to go to the game, but it's also Easter weekend, and I got family in town, and also I want to be at home by my computer to make sure that the site is running along with the apps too. Anyway, let's see here. Don't Care Bear, not very nice. Bring back the Wranglers. They will be back. And wasn't the Wranglers the uniform that was in the commercial? The restaurant commercial. A lot of fans talking about that, excited about the uniform. Atlanta Fied says USFL should get XFL owners to give up XFL and buy USFL franchise. XFL has no chance after USFL got Fox and NBC. Interesting take. And that is a big get. And I've said this before when it comes to Fox, my concern is that, we're getting a little buffering issue. My concern with the XFL, USFL, especially with the USFL on Fox, is, sometimes, like, what happens if some of these guys leave or other executives in there don't like what's going on as far as, the way things are going? Are they going to pull the plug? But they have a lot of, you've got 3 years with NBC, and then you've also got your deal with Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm telling you, the interesting thing about the USFL is when you hear people that were involved with the talks, not fans online on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, but people that were actually involved with these talks, they are super, super excited about what's going on with the USFL. Like, they're like, hey, you guys have no idea. And that makes me very interesting. Imperial Spy says, imagine an A-Rod discusses, a needle prohibited in the USFL. Well, I don't know about that. Would not be good. Richard says, I really think that Kirby Wilson is really going to be the best coach in the USFL because you really don't know what type of game he's going to bring. That's true, too. Jason says, just want to say that the XFL and NFL seem to be partners to me, whether it's official or unofficial. Okay. Atlanta Fied says XFL is a lost cause now that the USFL is entrenched with heavy hitters. Their branding is key. We're going to have to see about that. Alistair Fennell says Tom Brady could own a team. Hey, could you imagine bringing Tom Brady in and that situation? Now, there was like some rumblings about the reason why he's not going to retire yet because he's going to get $15 million or something. I don't know. Dude's got plenty of money. I don't think he's worried about that, but we'll see. All right, let's go take a quick commercial break. And we will get to your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today.
All right, my friends, let's get on to the question of the week. Do you think we will get a big announcement from the XFL this week? Lots of reaction. Jordan says should be interesting. You would think that this week would be a good time to do so. I'd feel more confident with a commercial during the Super Bowl if the USFL didn't have a relationship with NBC. But still, I think it could happen. Also, Under Armour probably plays a big role with the uniforms and apparel partnership. Pre-game Zoa and post-game Termana. Let's go. So do you think, actually, I just thought of this. Do you think, remember before, it was the Bud Light Seltzer thing going on? Now, Bud Light Seltzer is gross. I'm sorry. I prefer White Claw way over Bud Light Seltzer. I was actually at an event a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to have Bud Light Seltzer. I was like, ugh. Not good. Termana after a win. But the team would be hammered. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? It's one thing to have a seltzer and but an expensive bottle of Termana. It could happen. It could happen. I wouldn't put it past them. Keenan says they took too long to come back. I'm hoping the USFL will be successful and takes off. James, hopefully they'll at least do a decent job building up the hype. I think the hype is about to come. And it makes sense to me from a business standpoint that they might, why this buildup didn't happen over the course of the last couple of months. But I have a feeling the XFL's buildup is going to be way bigger because their business model is different. Jared says, I forgot Rock is having a Zoa commercial for the Super Bowl. I thought it was going to be the XFL. I hope it's during the Super Bowl or right after the Super Bowl. Yeah, there was talk about The Rock, and he was talking about some big thing coming, Super Bowl. But yeah, I agree. It's going to be Termana commercial. I would definitely think so. Javier says, in the XFL, are we going to see your TV deal or probably streaming service? Thanks. So will be two new teams or for new teams. The Rock said he would be announcing it during the Super Bowl. I think he meant the commercial or right before or after. We don't know. Thank you, Mark. Javier, I think we're going to get something this week. I think as far as promotion goes, if you're going to pick Danny Garcia and The Rock over Fox Sports, I mean both are good companies, but I think you would have to give that nod to the XFL and their build-up. Remember, they want to have this kind of 360 world where there's all these different shows and build up. So I think there's going to be some behind the scenes show. Mike Mitchell's talked about this a lot when it comes to the XFL. So we'll have to find out. But I think the build up for the XFL will be a lot stronger than the USFL. But do you really need anything? You just need to go and get this football going. That's it. You found out your coaches, you found out your teams, and now let's go. Mike Mitchell has a great article about the USFL breaking down the league. He's breaking down the 8 coaches. Christopher says, playing all games in one city is a huge mistake. Won't get the fans. I guess they are hoping gambling and fantasy can carry the league. Remember, it's only one season. It's only one season they're planning on doing this. Somebody used the term an incubator. Somebody in some interview that I heard that it's kind of this incubator model where, it's starting small and going to grow big. And I don't have that is, again, I've talked about this at length. It's competing business models. Dennis says, I hope the league makes its time. I'll bring back other teams. Larry says, can you imagine a merger of the USFL, XFL, and CFL leagues someday? How great would that be? Monster. That would be crazy. I can't say that. If I say that, I'd get in trouble. Shannon says, too much money invested in coaching and the roaches for the league's shine. Players ain't playing for $350 a game, and you aren't getting airtime with crappy investors who have no talent using daddy's money. Okay. Robert says, I give the USFL until Labor Day before it folds. Okay. Very positive. About the Stallion, about the Birmingham to host the new United States Football League. Scott says, so the Stallions get home field advantage in every game while every other team plays in an empty stadium. Makes sense. Still going to watch because it's football. Not sure if this is a good idea, Gino. This is year 1. Year 2, you would have a couple other teams, probably more close by, depending on who their owners are. Some fans think that they're not even going to make it to a year 2. I'm telling you, hearing these guys talk, they're all about how excited they are for this league. Now, I didn't really pay attention to the AAF because I was an XFL guy. Again, we'll have to see. We'll just have to see. We've been burned before, but we love football, and we know spring football is going to work. On about Fisher and Fedora, here we go. Joe Fisher will wind up a couple games under 500. Tommy says, be careful, Michigan. Your team will move after he destroys it. Oh, gosh, come on. Tom wanted to read it, but the Google ads popped up. Okay, I don't know what that's about. Josh says, don't cheer for us when we are 6-4, and you didn't stick with us when we were 4-6. I really hope, I'm hopeful. If I'm picking a coach to win, of course I want the Stallions to do really well. Of course I want my Tampa Bay Bandits because they have the coolest logo. But really the guy I'm pushing for the most is Jeff Fisher to have a championship or some kind of thing like that with the league. I think that would be really, good. I think I would love to see him win a championship in the USFL. I think that would be great. A good story, just like the NFL story. Do you hear this story? You heard it here first, my friends. Our inside sources at XFL News Hub tell us that Tom Brady might or might not retire. And we have this picture of Tom Brady and The Rock. And yeah, take a look at that. It is kind of creepy. That's what Jackson said. I thought it was funny. Got some likes. Whatever. Also, on our question of the week, about the big announcement from the XFL, spring football analyst says, I'm predicting we'll hear all the 8 teams returning as well as 2 completely new teams. That would be off the charts. I would say I would tease each one, just tease it. You could tease it for a couple weeks and get people talking. Don't just come out and just drop it all out. Tease. People would love it and get interested and get plugged in. If you tease them that there could be a team in their city, they will start to pay attention. Don't tell them right away. Be like, hey, we've got 10 teams coming. And every week or every other week, we're going to announce the city and team. So stay tuned. And they'll announce it on this show. Got to give us one of them to announce on this show. Come on, XFL. We've been keeping the lights on. I've been around the XFL more than the people that work there. And that's true because I started covering it before Oliver Luck was hired. So I've been around longer than anybody in that XFL back front office. Just pointing that out. So hook me up. We'll have a little announcement on here, or Danny Garcia. It's funny. I would love to interview The Rock or or Danny Garcia, but really it's Danny Garcia is the one that I want to interview. And The Rock I would pick second. Diego says the first announcement The Rock will be making will be about the LA Wildcats relocating to San Diego. We'll get into that in a minute. And playing in the new state-of-the-art Snapdragon Stadium, home of the San Diego State football and soon-to-be San Diego Wildcats. Ooh. We haven't heard any rumblings about, except for St. Louis, which is clearly about having talks about playing at places. Fred JMZ _1776 will probably get news on February 18th. Random day to pick that one. All right, let's quickly get to the YouTube stuff. Did I miss anything? No, I got that video. Okay. Let's see here. CWAO experience might just be a personal experience, but everyone I interacted with in Green Bay were amazing. Last week, I was talking about last week about how my wife hated the Green Bay Packers. You have to tune into last week's episode to find that out. Lazuli says, I believe it should start during the end of spring and should be a summer league to give some break from football because coming right off the Super Bowl is not a good idea. I'm with you on the weather aspect of it. Being in DC in February is not that much fun. And the games are cold. I would love to be at games, especially. What are you afraid of going head-to-head with Major League Baseball? You would crush it. You're football. You would crush it. So why not do it? And I think the USFL wins. The marketing, I would assume, would win when it comes to Danny Garcia and The Rock. But the schedule and the time of year, without a doubt, USFL wins that one. Pip says starting right after NFL would be excellent for the XFL if it was working in 2020. This way the USFL sticks around. The XFL will be like 2 months into their season, and the USFL kicks off, which would be advantage for the XFL. That's true. We'll see how that plays out. 343 Foxden, 12 USFL teams is the highest I would go with the number of teams in the next few years if the leagues last that long. And Pip says they won't be doing more than 8 teams anytime soon. XFL maybe 10. That's what fans are thinking. James says, not really understanding the hub city for the USFL. I mean, obviously, understand hub city means that, but not sure why they're doing it because of spiking what numbers or something else. It's a what numbers. It's also, but it really is. It comes down to money. The NFL, the NBA was very successful with their hub city. And again, this is an incubator league, so they're starting small and wanting to grow up big. Why? Because we know how often leagues fail. And if the USFL just sticks to their 3-year plan, they'll be just as long, they were around just as long as the original USFL. And Chris says, Rock's dinosaur name Stan, more like Rock's dragon name. Oh, okay. The Rock Funko Pop has creepy eyes, in my opinion. Is he talking about? Oh, yeah, this is the Rock Funko thing that my wife got me, like a creepy rock looking thing. It does have creepy eyes. We'll put them right over there. You see my merch. But yeah, I got a new desk, so I'm switching things around a little bit. All right, quickly on to the Twitters. Question of the week. Hindsight 2020 Super Bowl week makes the most sense. I wish the XFL would announce something about their teams or their league will be playing. I agree there. That would be a good one. Let's see. At TFFA, Andy's talking about our question. He says, I think it will be an announcement that reaches the most people, not necessarily with any new information. Most 2023 XFL fans are fans that don't know it yet. That's true. Interesting take there. Seth said, talking about what did you think of the USFL commercial? He said, I really enjoyed this. Very funny and quite literally my life. It was very cool. I thought it was well done. A lot of people liked it, and I'm glad. And I'm sure there's going to be even more creative ads. And I wonder, the team that was behind some of this ads, were they involved with the XFL? I'll tell you this, and I think it was Fox's XFL ad was trash a year or two ago, if you remember that. It was like, didn't even mention the XFL until the end. It was like those 2 announcers or something. It was bad. I put this out here during the game this weekend's championship game. Let's see here. Where I said reason number 15 on why the XFL should not have a team in LA, and see the Niners crowd at LA's home stadium, San Diego Wildcats. Now, Seth said reason number 1 to have a team in LA is TV. Jake Henry says, I'll take a team in LA and bad crowds if it means the league is successful and has a lucrative deal. I have that. Oh, I put that one already. Connor Folk, remember him. He says, still think the Hollywood-LA connection and business interests with the Rockadani is too strong, and they'll put another team in LA. I agree, though. My Cali market would be San Diego all day. My thing about and my statement about that, and I agree, LA, of course, is a big TV market, and I understand all that. However, if your league is run off of gate, which means ticket sales, then there's going to be a problem. And that's where my issue arises, is the ticket sales. If ticket sales is a major factor in your league, then you can't play in LA, and you're better off playing in San Diego. My take on LA, Atlanta, 2 not very good sports towns. Atlanta is the worst. LA, I mean, and you just saw from that game, it was a nice, decent mixed crowd. I get that LA just got here, the Rams, but I just think that I just don't think if you're worried about ticket sales, you're better off just going to San Diego to help finance your league rather than stay in LA. You can always move to LA when the league is stronger. You can do that if you would like. Let's see. Do you think that? I was asked a question about The Rock firing off the news on his post, something about Super Bowl Sunday. I said I don't think it's XFL related. Since the Super Bowl is on NBC, I don't think NBC would have the USFL and XFL. It might be movie related, but with this crew, you never know. And Tori Butterang once as well, they can. The 2 leagues do not directly compete and play at different times. If NBC wants in football, there's no reason for them not to show XFL games in February and March. Somebody else brought up the point of the Young Rock is in the XFL, or I'm looking at my data here. And the Young Rock is on NBC, so that's true too. About the thing, Arena fan Ken, I'm thinking Super Bowl week in LA. If you want to make a big splash, that would be the place. And Morgan Shank says, I hope so. Ultimately, I'm not expecting anything so that I don't get disappointed, but any kind of announcement would be amazing. All right, let's get to some emails real quick. Let's see here. Trying to see why the data is being wonky. I hope the stream is okay. Joshua says, I hope all is well with you on this late night. My name is Joshua. I work at a sports agency looking for information to clients. Again, I don't have any of that kind of stuff. I can't help you out. When it comes to getting you, and you know what I mean, reach out to the league if you have clients. The USFL will probably know about you. Networking is key, my friend. Mike41 says, I knew the USFL was coming back, but I forgot about it until the commercial during multiple NFL Fox broadcasts. I agree on the roster size, and playing in a central location could hurt them. I don't think, again, this is temporary. I think they should have 50-man roster and at least 2 training locations where you can bus the players to the games. Got to say the huge thing that got going for them is TV. Agree with that. Talking about A-Rod. Brian says, no tryouts. I was looking forward to giving it a try. I last played football in 1972. I'm ready to give it a go. Brian, that's gangster level stuff. That was before I was even born, my friend. That was before I was even born. Dude checking in. Says Haley is the guy, talking about the league's coaches, Mike Mitchell's fantastic article. He says Haley is the guy I want to see the most, boom or bust. A good pick for bandit ball style. Michigan is guaranteed a 5-5 record. We've heard that all before. Riley is the player coach that I think most would like to play for. It will seem weird that all of them will be in one city the whole time. They certainly won't have the local press after them or promoting them. Along with first chances, coaches need second chances too. We'll see how they do. I'm sure a good QB or defensive pass rush will make them all look smarter or dumber if they don't. It's a good thing there. And Danny's checking in. Oh, let's, last email. Danny says, hey, newish listener, love the show, huge XFL fan. And I want to make sure everyone knows it. Cool. I always hope for news from the XFL, and I hope they stick to their timeline. Me too. But I have a question for us as XFL fans, but fans of spring football. Should we prioritize viewing the first USFL on Fox or NBC? Interesting. What are you guys going to do? Fox or NBC's coverage? Which one would you pick? I will play it down the middle. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do, because you make up a good point, because we all have to get along in this space, I will switch back and forth between the two games. You think that's nice of me? I'll switch back and forth. All right, let's get to a phone caller, shall we?
I think, there could be a big announcement from the XFL probably this week, and I think it'll be a big one because I know that the cities and teams could be coming up to be announced pretty soon. And I've heard about the USFL, about unprecedented access. Hope you know that it'll be in-game audio. See you later. Bye-bye.
All right. I did hear something about in-game. Well, they was talking about how they would like to have in-game kind of access like the but we'll see about that. I know that was mentioned when it comes to the XFL. Whether or not we'll be in the USFL, we will have to wait and see. Finally, quickly, checking out with the guys, everybody on the chat room. Let's see. Paladin Demo says, sorry, I'm late, been cooking. Always say that. You always say that. Lots of chats in here going on in the chat room. Kuda Man, the USFL is starting to push the gas a little bit more lately. Yes, I agree with that. Tyrone says USFL coaches, players. Yeah, we're going to see that. CWAO experience. Baseball is the most boring sport on the planet. I couldn't agree with you more. Very intelligent man, I must say. Rookie_X4. What if the XFL make a commercial exactly like the USFL last night? That would be kind of funny. You wonder how much these guys are competing to. Jared gave it a +1 on the commercial. He said it was funny. Just watched it. I thought the commercial was good too. All right. Let's wrap up the show. Appreciate everybody for being on. Remember, you can be part of the show. Email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts. Record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. Leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate that. And remember to watch our show live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And, of course, we are 382 days, 74 days from the USFL kicking off as well. All right, that's it from me, folks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for everybody in the chat. That's it for me. And God bless out there. And I will see you all later. Oh, by the way, if we get some big, huge announcement in the XFL, we'll do a live show. There's no question about that. So that's it for me, folks. And I will see you all later. Thanks for joining. Peace.